For the next presentation, as I said, we'll hear from a third pilot based in Ancona, Bridging Culture Through Arts, and the presenter is Francesca Cesaroni from the social cooperative COOSS Marche. Francesca, over to you.
Hi everybody, good morning. I am Francesca and I work in COOSS Marche, that is an NGO providing services to disadvantaged groups, mainly to migrants, asylum seekers and refugees. And I was in charge of the pilot in Ancona. When the project started, we had an ignition workshop where some exercises following the What-If-I methodology was proposed by Platonic. And I think that our pilot idea started from there because we wanted to put ourselves in the shoes of a migrant that lives in our community, but it is not known and probably not accepted so well. So we thought, what if I as a migrant could tell how I feel, what my values are, what I need and wish, telling about my story and background so that the neighborhood where I live can also reflect my cultural identity, besides and not only that of its autochthon inhabitants. So this is the summary of our pilot that was carried out in a multi-ethnic district of Jesi, that is a small town close to Ancona, where a high concentration of migrants has settled in the recent years, bringing obviously change in the citizens' habits and relationships. The pilot intended to bring together migrants and autochthons living in that districts and engage them in the creation of an artistic output symbolizing the peaceful coexistence of different cultural identities. Obviously, the pilot focused on participation and co-creation, and we wanted that they created a final artistic output, but we wanted to avoid to steer the participant choices toward a predefined cultural and artistic format, because we wanted that it emerged from their attitudes and wishes. So because of this, we couldn't say since the beginning what the product could be. The pilot were organized in 4 steps. The first one consisted in reaching out participants and create a local network with the local stakeholders. The second step consisted in the group creation, the third in the creation of an artistic output, and the final one was the restitution to the community. So as I said, it was 4 steps, but I wanted to concentrate on the 2 and 3rd step because they are the core of the work we did in the pilot. So what you have to know of step 1 is just that at the ending of the reaching out activity, we had more than 35 participants registered to the pilot. They came from 20 different countries. They met once a week from 9 to 11 because it was the time in the evening, because it was the time they decided. And we had 23 in-presence laboratories from November 19 to May 21. And the meeting place was a space, an exhibition space offered by the municipality of Jesi, which was very supported for the CultureLabs projects in general, but particularly for the pilots. And also the lab were led by a social pedagogist that is working in COOSS. His name is Luca Pacuse, and is an expert in techniques enhancing inclusion, in group dynamics and conflicts management. So we go to step 2, that was the creation of a cohesive group. The leading principles for this step were we wanted to enhance reciprocal knowledge and respect among the participants. We wanted to foster interaction and dialogue, increase the participants' sense of belonging to the same community, because I remind you that all the participants, both Italian and migrants, were from the same neighborhood. And we wanted to make participants' expectations and wishes emerge. How to do this? We used culture-based techniques and approach because they seem to be very, very effective in create group cohesion and foster reciprocal trust. Luca proposed a combination of different methods and activities, among which theater labs, role-playing, storytelling, exchange of pictures, objects, and also of cooking traditions. We discovered that playful activities were very, very effective in creating a relaxed atmosphere, and for this they were prioritized in the pilot. Also, we discovered that nonverbal methods are very, very positive to facilitate self-expression and interaction. At the beginning, the communication was quite difficult because of the language barrier characterizing the participants, but also because of their shyness and the reluctance to participate to unusual activities. But as soon as the trustfulness started to arise, also peer support was very, very natural. So participants helped each other with the language mediation, particularly for those who couldn't speak Italian fluently. I want to give you in this presentation some very concrete examples of the techniques used, among which the nonverbal techniques, because we wanted you to understand how important they were. One of them was the collage. Collage, all you know, can be used to express feelings, values, emotions about a given topic using symbols, pictures, sentences, and drawings. So in one of these labs, we asked the participants to express through their collage their perception of the word oppression and the possible way to escape from it. We had a lot of individual works that were created, and they represent an unexpected artistic collection because for step 2, we didn't expect to have tangible outputs. But they use their own creativity without any artist to guide them. And this is just to give you an idea of what they created. And they are the individual works. Then the group tried to analyze the other works and found some common and distinctive elements and co-created the collective collage. Another technique was theater labs. Theater labs are very, very effective to show how to solve a conflicting situation and how communication can help to accept diverging perspectives. In particular, the image theater was very, very used because it was very effective in increasing trustfulness and confidence within the group. The image theater is a performance when the actors use their bodies or other objects to communicate an idea. One person acts as a sculpture and shapes other people as they were statues to describe the situation. And just to let you understand, I want to give you a concrete example of this. In one of these labs, participants were asked to identify an object that they were particularly fond of. A young woman from Bangladesh chose a ring that she had received as a present from a dearest friend of hers. The ring was chosen as the central element for the performance, which consisted in a 3-scenes narrative. A Pakistani gay performed his first mise-en-scene. In the first scene, he made the girl sit in a chair with a thick veil covering her face. In the second scene, he put the ring on the girl's finger, and in the third one, he unveiled the girl's face and the two could finally look at each other. Then participants were asked to reshape, to restage the scenes according to the values, according to their interpretation of the first mise-en-scene, and an Italian girl rearranged them as follows. The first scene remained identical to the original one. In the second one, the ring was approached to the woman's finger, while the veil was lifted so that both could see each other. In the third scene, the woman ran away. I wanted to give you this example because it demonstrates that using amusing theater techniques, people from different cultures can meet and dialogue without feeling criticized or attacked. Also because it demonstrates that strong and rich cultural traditions, as imposed weddings are, could be questioned and peacefully discussed through irony. And also it highlights that the meaning of an object can change depending on cultural values and ties. You can see that the ring that was a symbol of friendship for the girl turned into a symbol of wedding for the boy. After the step 2 required about 12 labs, 12 meetings, but then after this time, the group was ready and motivated enough to go on to create something that represented themselves. So the objective of step 3 was the creation of an artistic output, and the leading principle was the respect for the participant artistic attitudes and preferences. So as I said, not to steer their toward cultural formats, and to make their cultural background and values emerge. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 interrupted the activities at the very beginning of step 3. Luca made a lot of efforts to keep the group alive through the digital facilities, try to motivate them to exchange videos, to tell the experiences of the lockdown. But after an initial phase of participation, there was a great number of withdrawals. And it clearly demonstrated that the virtual modality was scarcely appreciated, particularly because the in-presence one had been very, very appreciated. But unexpectedly, on May 21, we could start with the pilot in presence again. So the group met twice a week because we had a very short amount of time, just 1 month, to create something. And so the group started to revisit the virtual work and revised and redesigned it. Experts suggested different techniques. And finally, the group decided for the cutout animated video technique, that is animating paper-based drawings. And what emerged in these months is a very short but highly symbolic video named The Trip that I would like Alex to show you. It is very, very short. Alex, you can stop it now. Thank you. So, as you see, the size of this output is very small, but I think it is very symbolic. And they didn't want to give you the meaning. You can give it the meaning you prefer or the one that you see in all of this. But I think it was a very nice output. So to go back to my presentation. Sorry, can you see it again? Okay. It doesn't run. Okay. So what were the lessons we learned from this experience? First of all, that cohesion and trustfulness within the group are strong facilitators for participatory approaches. That nonverbal techniques are very effective to overcome language barriers. We also noticed that, acknowledge that an experienced leader, as Luca was, is very important if you want to propose these kind of activities, because sometimes you have crisis, uneasiness, and you have to be able to vary activities and smooth the atmosphere. Also, it creates sustainability problems because obviously, if you want to have an experienced and expert leading groups for so long time, you need economic resources, and this is one of the problems in participatory approaches. And finally, technology. Technology for sure is a strong facilitator, is a strong means, but it cannot substitute human contact. The last thing I want to show you, a peculiarity of this pilot. So we are an NGO and we divided the pilot in 2 main activities, as I showed you. In step 2, the objective was to create the group. So the cultural approaches, were used as means to reach this objective. So in this phase, we didn't expect any concrete output. While step 3 was, the objective was this creation. So the culture, the art was the finality, and we created the output that has been just shown to you. But as a conclusion, we can say that we had 4 pilots in this project. 3 were led from cultural institutions or linked to cultural institution partners, just 1 from an NGO working with migrants. And I think that all the pilots somehow reflect the mission, the perspectives, and the expertise of the organization leading them. And if the CIs were more oriented to the creation of a cultural outputs, the NGO were more oriented to experiment the effectiveness of cultural approaches in enhancing cohesion and inclusion. But whatever the modality and the principle leading the single pilots, I think that active participation was the common achievement and the common principle for all of us. And also the experience testifies that culture-based participatory approaches are really powerful tools for inclusion. Thank you very much for your attention.